4th of July. Before we start this evening, I'd just like to welcome Councillor Matthew Farnworth to his first Cabinet post. And I will now outline some housekeeping rules. There are no planned fire alarms, so if it does sound, please leave via the emergency exits. Can I request that all mobile phones are kept on silent or switched off? And we will start next with introductions, first councillors and then officers. So my name is Councillor Jackie Halty and I'm Council Leader and Cabinet Member for Strategy and Reform.
Hello, good evening. I'm Aniela Belinsky-Gelder. I'm the Deputy Leader of South Ribble. I'm the Cabinet Member for Communities and Housing and I'm the Ward Councillor for Leyland Central. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm Councillor Matthew Tomlinson. I'm the Cabinet Member for Finance, Assets and Commercialisation. And I'm also the Ward Councillor for Broadfield Ward in Leyland.
Good evening, Councillor Colin Sharples. I'm the Member for Earnshaw Bridge and the Cabinet Member for Customer and Digital. Thank you.
Hello, Councillor Kath Unsworth. I'm Cabinet Member for Environment and Street Scene and the other Ward Councillor for Broadfield in Leyland.
Hi, I'm Claire Hunter, Cabinet Member for Leisure and Wellbeing and Councillor for Bamber Bridge East.
Good evening, I'm Councillor Matthew Farnworth. I'm the Cabinet Member for Culture, Community Wealth Building and Licensing and the Councillor for Seven Stars Ward in Leyland.
Evening, I'm Chris Sinnott, I'm the Council's Chief Executive.
Good evening, I'm Chris Moister, I'm the Director of Governance and Council's Monitoring Officer.
Good evening, I'm Sarah Bullock, the Deputy Chief Executive.
Hi, I'm Louise Martinson, I'm the Director of Finance and the Council's Section 151 Officer.
Hello, I'm Caroline Wolfingdon, the Director of Change and Delivery.
Good evening, I'm Gail Wooden, I'm the Council's Director of Planning and Property.
Good evening, Carol Asprey, Democratic Member Services Officer.
Okay, members of Cabinet are attending in person here at the Civic Centre with officers. Other members of Council may also dial into the meeting via Teams to observe and or participate in the meeting. Please note that this meeting is recorded and live streamed on YouTube. The web link for this can be found on the Council's website. Members on Teams are asked to keep their microphone on mute and only unmute when they wish to speak. I will now move to the first item on the agenda. We do have apologies from Councillor Ian Watkinson, Cabinet Member for Economic Growth, Planning and Investment. Item 2. Declarations of interest. If a member has a pecuniary interest, they are requested to leave the meeting completely. The member can rejoin the meeting following the completion of the item in question. Does anyone have any interests to declare? Okay, we'll move on to item 3. The minutes of the last meeting. Now, I have the minutes in front of me for approval. Are there any points of accuracy on the minutes, or can we propose the minutes for approval? No. Okay. So I'm going to propose these for approval. Is there a seconder?
Seconded.
Then we'll approve these minutes. Thank you. And
Just need to do them as approved out.
Of course, yes. Sorry. Would you like to stick your hands up? Everybody in agreement. Thank you.
They seem happy.
That's good. Thanks for that. Okay, next we will go to item 4, which is the Cabinet Forward Plan. Members are advised that this item is accessible via the web link on the agenda. Democratic Services can provide access to this plan electronically at the meeting if needed. As this is to note, no vote is required. So are there any comments on the Cabinet Forward Plan as available to you? No. Okay. That's for noting then. Thank you. And now we move on to item 5, which is the South Ribble Quarter 4 Performance Monitoring Report 2023 to 2024. And I'm reporting on this one. So this report was actually presented to scrutiny a couple of days ago, and you will have had supplementary remarks of the recommendations there. So this is to provide Cabinet with a position statement on the corporate strategy for Quarter 4, January to March 2023 to 24. So this is also for noting, so no vote is required. However, we do want to open it up. Does anybody have any comments? Anybody on Cabinet? No? Okay. Anybody in the chamber? Members? Nope. Okay. Thank you. Then that's for noting. And we'll now move on to agenda item 6. Okay, this is also for me to present, though there is a vote towards the end of this. So this is regarding the productivity plan. In April of this year, the previous government asked all local authorities to submit a productivity plan. The then government minister set out the plan contents, including somewhat controversial statements regarding wasteful spend and the suggestion that resources on equalities may be excessive and wasteful. South Ribble planned in accordance and submitted it by the deadline, which was the 19th of July, with a caveat that members would have oversight at Cabinet tonight. The plans were due for review by government in October, but that may no longer be the case. However, members are recommended to endorse the plan and agree that it is the approved version to be confirmed with the Department of, it's all changed, Department of Housing and Communities and Ministry of Housing and Communities and Local Government. So do any members on Cabinet wish to offer any comments? Councillor Tomlinson.
Just take.
Okay, is there somebody to second this?
Seconded.
Thank you. Councillor Tomlinson.
Thank you. Now that the niceties have been observed, I find the fact that we have to do this at least somewhat ironic, that they want us to be more efficient and spend money better. And one of the ways they want to do it is to produce a report and waste officer time proving that we're efficient and spending money better. Especially when you compare 14 years of history of local government achieving the savings that has been demanded of them and still delivering great services, whilst Whitehall continues, it seems, to overspend at every opportunity and leave behind a country that's broken in every asset of public life. So there's a delicious irony to that. I am pleased, though, we've taken the guidance that the report should be brief. But if anything, I'd like it to be a bit briefer. That being said, I will be supporting it, of course, and thank the officers who have found yet another job that they have to do just to prove that we're doing a good job.
Anybody else on Cabinet? Okay. Any members wishing to speak who are in the chamber?
Just on page 36, item 3, the paragraph beginning South Ribble Borough Council is a really good summation of what's been happening. It simply says, you know, we're not wasting stuff, we're stretching resources to make things happen at local level. And that would make the plan on its own, really. That's your concise statement of the productivity of the council.
Thank you for that. Anybody else? Is there anybody on Teams wishes to comment? Councillor Smith.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I found the document, I have to say, quite interesting. It's certainly a resume of the business of the council, which I thought, all in one document, basically. So I thought it was quite interesting. And to be quite honest, congratulations to the officers, because it's certainly a well-written document. That's all I have to say, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I thought your comment, Councillor Pullinger, was quite meaningful in terms of there's only so far you can stretch something before it snaps. And I think we've kind of gone past that point and some items have snapped. Anyway, moving on, we need to take a vote. And so is everybody in favour with moving this forward? Yeah. Thank you. It's carried. The next item on the agenda is item 7, which is the cost of living action plan, and Aniela Belinsky-Gelder is going to present that. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. So this report says everything I think we need to know about South Ribble Council and why I am so proud to present the work of the officers and the administration, the caring and compassionate nature of the decision making with the community at the heart of every decision. And I'd like to ask the Cabinet this evening to agree to the refreshed cost of living action plan for 2024-25. We continue to advocate evidence-based decision making, and looking at the report, we have a lot of information informing us the demographic, types and size of households, deprivation indices, the general health, economic activity and status, employment history and age profile of the borough. And this means that we can target our resources when they're needed the most. The cost of living is defined as the amount of money people need to pay for everyday essentials. This is almost the definition of relative poverty, where necessity is the key word and no luxuries are permitted, but rather bare essentials. The recent cost of living crisis has created even larger holes in the safety net of support since the introduction of austerity, and therefore impacted some groups disproportionately. For example, in South Ribble, those who are disabled, including mental health issues, carers and people receiving informal care, families with children, especially single parent families, older people, people in poor quality or unsuitable accommodation, refugees and asylum seekers, people who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. This is where we as a council have stepped up, providing non-statutory support, but essential nonetheless. The government report sadly states that low-income households were the most affected by rising prices. The Office for National Statistics data shows that households with the lowest income experienced a higher than average inflation rate, while the highest income households experienced lower than average inflation. This disparity, the report states, is due to low-income households being more susceptible to high food and energy prices, and this is generally called a poverty premium because those which can least afford it are oddly expected to pay more often. This cost of living action plan focuses on supporting residents with emergency provision, providing immediate and short-term support, delivering early help and intervention to prevent issues arising, and by building resilience in local policies and strategies to address key costs of living factors. We know that once families and members of families reach a breaking point mentally, physically and emotionally, it takes a long time to get back to what is considered normal. Trying to prevent this crisis point actually saves families, services, resources, time, anxiety, stress, and our communities in the long run. We have developed a number of different interventions over the last 3 years, including a household support payments, affordable warmth grants, the school uniform pop-up shop, which is happening at the moment, and it's got an amazing response. We've helped over 1,300 families, as well as a newly launched support bus, which is accessible around the borough, offering help and guidance to residents. We all need to continue to be aware of the fluctuating energy and food prices, increased housing costs in combination with the precarious and work contracts leaving families struggling. It's our priority to have a healthy and happy communities, mitigating the impacts of the cost of living and looking to early interventions that we can put in place to tackle issues before they arise, along with providing emergency support to those in crisis. We're working around advising and supporting through social prescribing, offering financial and practical support through household support grants, support for resilience in our communities by providing funding to local partners like the Citizens Advice Bureau, while we're also constantly reviewing our policies and strategies to ensure that they're fit for purpose. Finally, please take a really close look at points 27 to 30 in the report. In contrast to the last report, this report really provides extensive information around the consideration given to everyone in the borough and equality and diversity. And I'd like to invite anyone in the borough who is facing hardship and needs support to get in touch. If you're not sure where to turn, please contact us because we're offering a raft of support. Thank you, Leader. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, are there any comments from the Cabinet? Any comments from members in the room? Any comments from members or public on Teams? Okay, from my perspective, I just think that the amount of scope of work that we are actually undertaking, that the officers do on a daily basis, is just indicative of the need for cooperative working to fill the gaps that fragmentation in service provision across the country has made. So, I just want to thank you for that. Will you be proposing?
Would you like me to propose and read the recommendation?
Yes, please.
So I propose this report, and the recommendations are: the Cabinet notes the work completed to date and continues to support the work with partners to assist residents through the cost of living crisis, and the Cabinet approves the Cost of Living Action Plan 24-25. Thank you.
So I'll second that. Thank you. Shall we take a vote? All in favour? Thank you. So we're going to move on to item 8 and go to the father of the house. I could have said grandfather. Councillor Matthew Tomlinson, would you like to?
Jokes are funny when both the teller and the receiver thinks they're funny. Thank you, Leader. Item 8 is a report on the capital programme for 23-24 and balance sheet monitoring report outturn as at the 31st of March. The recommendations to Cabinet are that we approve the revised capital programme as attached to Appendix A, note the variations as at Appendix B, and then note the position in the balance sheet monitoring section further on in the report. I guess for most members, the most interesting part of the report will be the table on page 62, which itemises the slippage in the capital report. A lot of this is weather variant, so if we're working on parks and playgrounds, the wettest winter we've ever had, that obviously will affect our ability to deliver when we think, or originally thought we were going to deliver. I'd just like to give all members the confidence that all of the things in this report will be delivered. It's just that snapshot in time, as at the 31st of March, we may not have got round to completing them. So everything that you can see itemised there, whether it's a playground in New Longton or Tidygate, or whether it's something to do with the town deal or Jubilee Gardens, we may not have spent the money that we thought we would spend by the 31st of March, but we certainly are committed to spending it. So the actual text further on, the major variations at the top of page 63, gives some explanations as to why we haven't spent that money as yet. One benefit, of course, of being behind in your capital programme is that you have more money in the bank than you thought you would have. And with interest rates at 5.5%, that certainly helps the revenue budget, because we've got more money coming in interest than we thought we would have. But all that being said, we remain committed to all of those projects. That money will be spent. And we, as you see later on in the agenda, we remain committed to investing in our borough for the benefit of all our residents. Happy to move the recommendations, which I've already read out, Leader.
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions from members of the Cabinet? You've all been reading. Any questions from members in the room? No? On Teams? Okay. Are you... No. So you've proposed them, that's great. I'll second them. Can we take a vote, please? Okay, that's carried. That's lovely. Thank you. Okay, so, the next item, item 9, is also from Councillor Tomlinson. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Leader. And this is the report on the revenue budget up to the end of the financial year, which, as far as local government is concerned, is the 31st of March. Recommendations to Cabinet are that we note the 23-24 outturn for revenue and reserves based on the position as at 31st of March, and note the variance made to and from the budget as detailed in Appendix 2. Members will recall that at the end of Q1 and Q2, certainly of the previous financial year, we were looking at some very serious challenges, certainly around homelessness, as a really significant challenge to our budgets. I do want to commend Jennifer and Claire and her team for all the work they did to dampen the demand on that service, so that at the end of the year we are reporting a significant overspend on that budget, which of course is demand led, and certainly from you talk about the cost of living crisis and things like that we're not in a position to control, but we do have to deal with the problems that present. But some real hard work done there, some innovative work done with our housing. Did I say that right? I did. Innovative work done with our housing providers, and has really kept that budget to significantly less than we thought it was going to be. So some really, really good work there. I am delighted to say that at the end of the year, we are showing an underspend of over £600,000, which, when you consider where we were at the end of Q1 and Q2, is a remarkable turnaround. It's my proposal that we put that 600,000 plus into the general reserve. This means that the general reserve, which council says ought to be £4 million, is now standing at £5.167 million. So it's a very healthy figure. That being said, there are some significant differences as there would be within any budget. There's overspends here, there's underspends there. There is some narrative in the text to explain why they may have occurred. And should members have any particular questions they want to ask, I'm more than happy, with the assistance of Louise, to try and answer them. It did get a good going over at scrutiny on Monday night, and the recommendations of the committee have been submitted as an extra supplementary agenda item. I'm happy to say we're happy to support all of those recommendations, and we will endeavour to get back to the scrutiny committee with the answers which we couldn't give on the night, just as soon as it is humanly possible. All that being said, I think it leaves us in a in a relatively healthy position economically, certainly compared to some district councils around the place. And so I'm happy to move the recommendations as I read out at the beginning of the report.
Is there a seconder?
Happy to second.
Anybody else on Cabinet wishing to speak on this? Oh, any other members in the room? Or on Teams? Okay, then we'll just move this forward and take it for noting. Thank you. And item 10, back to Councillor Tomlinson.
Thank you, Leader. More good news, and this is further investments in our playgrounds. All members will know, indeed members of the public now recognise the huge investment we've made in our parks and playgrounds over the last 5 years. Withygrove play area in Bamber Bridge, I'm sure that everyone in this room will know where that is and just how popular it is. I mean, sometimes you just drive past it on the M6 and all you can see are hordes of children and families enjoying this play area. It really is, I think, regionally significant in terms of being a place where you can bring your young children to enjoy outdoor play. You remember not too recently we replaced a significant piece of equipment that had been damaged by vandalism, and that's been really well received. Some of the comments on that are really quite striking in how positive they are. And this latest investment is to replace some of the items of play equipment for even younger, I think it says in the report, toddlers. I'm not sure whether that's the correct technical term, but we all know what that means. So it's some of the smaller pieces of equipment for some of the younger children that we've taken away over the years, and then sometimes not always replaced it. As with anything, things move on, and so the items that we are replacing are more robust and more inclusive than the pieces of equipment that they are replacing. And again, it's, as I say, I think it's a really good news story. We are going to give the contract to a company that we've used before. They came out top on the scoring matrix and within budget. So with that, I recommend to Cabinet that we approve the awarding of the contract to Compan Limited for a fixed price of 150,000. And let's crack on. More good news, Leader. More good news.
Okay, is there a second? Yep, awesome.
Seconded.
Thank you. We'll just take this out now. Any Cabinet members wishing to speak to this item?
Just a quick one, really, that I can take my grandson on there and spend hours on that park. It's fantastic. You see loads of visitors coming in from different areas. It really is attracting a lot of, visitors. So, yeah, it's amazing. All the work we've done and everything is absolutely amazing. I just haven't managed to go down that slide yet, but you never know.
Thanks for that. Any members in the room? You're not playground material then. Any members on Teams? No? Okay. Oh, just a minute, we'll go back.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to come back. It was remiss of me. I did mean to congratulate our parks team. You'll have seen a recent press release that says we've now got 4 green flags across the borough for the first time, 3 of which we've held for a long time. Worden, Hurstgrange and Longton Brickcroft. But this year, for the first time, Withygrove Park in Bamber Bridge has earned the prestigious Green Flag Award, and it's testament to the work of all of our parks team, and I'd like to publicly extend my thanks and congratulations to them. They might be less happy that I have now asked them to look at other parks where we might also look to get green flags, but they're doing a tremendous job and I'm delighted to be able to say so publicly.
That's great, thanks. Okay, so we need to go to a vote on this. Is everybody in agreement? Okay, passed. Thank you. Okay, we're now moving to the final point on tonight's agenda, which is item number 11. And this is for Councillor Kath Unsworth to present.
Thank you, Leader. This is asking Cabinet to approve the replacement of 5 refuse collection vehicles, bin lorries. 5 of the 18 that we hold. Apparently they are breaking down quite regularly, and with it's a frontline service, we're having to lease vehicles, which is an expense. So we're looking at gradually replacing all of them over the next few years, but at this stage just to replace 5 of them. Retain 2 of them to have as spares so that if we do have a breakdown, we have got something to fall back on to keep that frontline service going. They're going to cost about £130,000 each, so 650 from a capital budget that has already been approved earlier. That's it really. We are asking to exclude social value element as well. That's because we're so limited on the number of companies that provide these vehicles that we're just sort of tying ourselves in knots if we tried to look at the social value. However, they have included the need to run on biofuel as one of the criteria that they've used. So the recommendations to Cabinet are to approve procurement exercise as outlined to replace 5 refuse collection vehicles and to exclude social value element of the evaluation criteria. Thank you.
So you propose that. Any seconder?
Seconded.
I think it's worth saying that I know you've had lots of discussions, and as have we in Cabinet, about having to remove the social value element of this. And it is an anomaly, and it's not something that we plan to replicate. It is out of necessity, not desirability. So do any Cabinet members wish to speak to this? Any members in the room? Or on Teams? No? Okay, then shall we move to the vote? All say aye. And thank you for that. So, right, we'll conclude the meeting, and the date of the next meeting will be Wednesday, the 11th of September. And I look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you. Have a lovely